At this time, I invite the 2019 McEniry Award recipient and my longtime colleague and friend, Craig Maddox, to present the Convocation address to the Stetson community.
If you haven't heard it enough, students, that you've got it memorized, I'm going to say it a few more times. Go beyond. What does that mean? As a teacher of singing, I often tell my students they must go beyond their concept of their own voice. They've often put their voice in too small of a box. I encourage them to imagine a much bigger box, like the size of a concert hall or an opera house. I've spent years, and so have my colleagues, training singers to sing over an orchestra in an opera house without the aid of a microphone. It's my job to encourage and guide them to go beyond any limitations they put on themselves. I can only do that if a student is willing to risk going beyond what they're already comfortable doing. Getting a student to take those risks is harder than you might think. In order to find a better sound than they've ever made, the student has to risk making a bad sound. I often tell fearful students, singing isn't like skydiving, where you make a mistake and you can die. If I can convince a student to sing without fear of failure, then they can begin to really go beyond. And what is failure, really? Story number one. Stuart, a high school wrestler, was afraid to wrestle Kaylor, who was projected to be the state champion. Stuart lamented to his coach, "He's going to kill me." And the coach said, "No, he might pin you. But as long as you learn something, then you didn't really fail." After that match, Stuart said, "I lost 15-3, but he didn't pin me." And the coach asked, "So, what did you learn?" Stuart said, "I have no idea how to defend that sweet duck under move that he does." Coach said, "I can help you with that." In their senior year, they wrestled each other again in the state tournament. And Stuart lost 8-3. And Kaylor was indeed the undefeated state champion. However, on the medal platform, Kaylor leaned over to Stuart and softly said, "You gave me the best match I had all season." Fueled by those encouraging words, 5 years later, Stuart was a collegiate national champion wrestler, a 3-time academic and athletic All-American, a black belt in karate, and more recently, a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He said that losing his fear of losing was the turning point in his competition, in his education, in his career, and in his life. Story number 2. Kathy wasn't motivated to go beyond with her singing because she thought she was going to be, quote, just a choir director, unquote. Sorry to my choir directors. This is what she sounded like when she auditioned for Stetson. At the beginning of her sophomore year, she decided to start practicing passionately and embracing her potential. With that change in attitude and 3 years of hard work, she sounded like this. little bit of difference. After Stetson, she went on to complete a Master of Music degree. She was a Metropolitan Opera Auditions grand finalist and had a successful international singing career. She later completed her doctorate and joined the voice faculty of The Ohio State University. Kathy has definitely gone beyond being just a choir director. Last story. A business major joined a social sorority, got involved in a toxic dating relationship, partied by her own admission too much, yet still managed to keep a high GPA. She was comfortable having what she thought was the typical undergraduate experience. But a mentor saw more in her and suggested that she go beyond the typical experience and look into an internship abroad. Intrigued, she applied for and received a paid internship in Scotland that proved to be life-changing. First, she broke free of the toxic dating relationship. Second, she gained a much wider world perspective. And third, she gained valuable real-world professional experience. After graduation, she was envious of one of her classmates who had landed a job at a resort in beautiful New Zealand. With encouragement from her parents and after a successful Skype job interview, she had a one-way plane ticket not to New Zealand, but to Adelaide, Australia. That's really going beyond and down under. That's not part of the slogan. That job, though, the Australia job, ultimately led her to Queenstown, New Zealand, where she managed a gourmet restaurant and wine bar in one of the most beautiful resort areas in the world. She earned her Level 3 sommelier, or professional wine expert certification. That study, in turn, sparked her passion to pursue a second college degree in viticulture and enology, which is cultivating the wine grapes and the science and art of making wine. Today, she is managing the restaurant, consulting as a sommelier, and working toward her new wine degree with the idea of transitioning into that industry full-time. Now, so far I've only talked about her work, but there's more to going beyond than just your career. She didn't just go beyond in her profession. This Florida girl who had never seen snow until she was in high school has become an avid snow skier. She runs frequent half marathons and takes kickboxing classes to keep in shape so she can tackle adventures like climbing above base camp of Mount Everest and hiking a 15,000-foot volcano in Central America. She's traveled throughout Southeast Asia where she's ridden elephants and cuddled tigers. How you go beyond, students, is unique to you. You may not wish to wrestle, sing opera, or climb volcanoes. But will you make a pledge to go beyond the typical undergraduate experience? Go beyond who you think you can be. Go beyond what you think you can accomplish here at Stetson. And will you allow us, your Stetson community, to help you explore and expand your possibilities? Let's go beyond together. Welcome to Stetson.
Thank you, Dr. Maddox, for inspiring our students and your colleagues to aspire to do great things. I take this opportunity to